Welcome to the latest episode of My 10-Minute Moan, and the subject of this one is Michael Matheson's finally resigned. Now, don't think that's a massive story or it's a great result, but the reason for the video is to go and dissect his absolutely ridiculous resignation letter that he's made public on X. And in it, just more nonsense. He starts off his resignation letter by saying it's been a privilege to serve in the government for almost 13 years, serving in 5 different portfolios, with 4 being in cabinet. Here is Michael blowing his own trumpet. Throughout my time in the government, I've always strived to do my absolute best for the people of Scotland, progressing legislation and policy to make Scotland a fairer and more prosperous place. Michael, I suggest to you that in the last 13 years that you've served in government, under 5 portfolios, 4 of which being cabinet positions, we've went downhill. You've not made a very good job of it. He then goes on to give us a whole list of the things that he believes are the highlights of his time in office. One of them, I think, is absolutely incredible, where he's claiming it's a good thing that completing the Scotland lease round to ensure Scotland is not only a world leader in offshore renewables, but will deliver the investment in jobs to secure prosperity. This is the Scotland leasing, where we've hawked to foreign companies, every single one of them, our offshore wind turbine leases for the priceless sum of £750 million. Not a lot of dough. All the profit will go to these companies offshore. We actually, in this bidding process, put a maximum price on what you could pay for our wind and where the offshore wind leases. We put a maximum in the bidding process, and your Michael thinks that's a good thing. Michael, you're crackers. And then he's telling us how great he's done in the NHS. This is the NHS, it's on its arse. The only thing they can tell us is, but the doctors haven't took a strike. That's about the only positive out of the NHS in the last 16 years. However, he comes on to suggest, I appreciate your support and encouragement in developing our plans to take these reforms forward. Strong and consistent leadership over the coming year will be necessary to ensure we enhance performance and drive down patients' waiting lists. You're no kidding. Having requested that the Scottish Parliament corporate body review my data roaming charges from last year, for those of you who are living in the moon, this is when they were at £11,000 during a week's holiday over Christmas and New Year, where it turns out he was watching the football. But he flung his wains under a bus after saying, I didn't want to talk about it to protect my family, flung them right under a bus, standing at the podium at Parliament and said, my wains watched the Celtic game. This crackpot. So he's requested, apparently, a Scottish Parliament corporate body review. And I am conscious that this process will conclude in the coming weeks. I have still not received the findings of the review. However, it is in the best interest of myself and the government for me to now step down to ensure this does not become a distraction to taking forward the government's agenda. Michael, I hereby officially announce I'm calling bullshit on that last quote. I do not believe for 1 minute that you do not know the findings of this inquiry. The reason being, it does not make sense for you to all of a sudden resign. Because if you felt you had to resign due to the fact that they're having an inquiry, you would have done it weeks ago. When like the rest of the nation were calling for you to be sacked. That would have been the right time to do it. But no, you have hung about and on your nails clinging to your job. You should be flung out of Parliament, not stepping down as the health minister. But I do not believe a word you say, because you have already been proven to lie to the Scottish public, to lie to the media, and to lie to the Parliament. That is factual. That is not me making it up as a unionist that cannot stand you or your party. You have done these things. So, for you to now write your resignation letter in and try to tell us that you don't know the findings, I am still not received the findings, that could be a play on words. Just because you've not physically received them, i.e. there's the written findings, I do not believe for 1 minute you have not been at least tipped off to find that you will be guilty due to the way you charged the public purse £11,000 for you and your wains to watch a Celtic game at Christmas and New Year. Okay? Don't believe a word you say, and I certainly don't believe your resignation letter. You have been tipped off, and I would love to stand here and be proven wrong on that, because I'm not stupid enough to believe you. Now, here is the other cringy thing. He obviously has written this letter of resignation to Humza Yousaf, because he's the First Minister. He's his boss, isn't he? I am enormously grateful to you for appointing me as Health Secretary and for the support that you've given me throughout the last year. It has meant a great deal to me, both me and my family. Thank you. You are assured of my full support from the backbenches as an MSP for Falkirk West in driving forward our agenda and delivering an independent Scotland. I wish you every success as a First Minister. Michael, bugger off with your crocodile tears. Let me tell you how this one should pan out. You should be unable to give any First Minister any support from the backbenches, because you don't deserve to be in the backbenches. You are a liar. You have been lying for a whole year out of this. However, I do note with interest that you thank the First Minister for his support over this last year. This last year when you have been trying to fleece the Scottish public purse for your wee jolly and holiday, when you created an £11,000 roaming charges bill. You are just a fine example of an SNP MSP. You are probably one of the best examples that we could use as a typical MSP representing the SNP. You lie, you cheat, and you attempted to steal. And all these crocodile tears mean nothing. And I'll tell you why they mean nothing to me. Because the only reason that you are getting this investigation right now, the only reason that you, a year later, said that you would pay back the £11,000 is quite simply because you get caught. That's it. Full stop. End of story. You would have been quite happy to get away with defrauding the public purse of £11,000 if you'd get away with it. You got caught. You told lies even after getting caught. And now today you've resigned. And you have been fully supported through all of that by the current First Minister of Scotland. That's not me guessing it, that's your words. I am enormously grateful to you for appointing me Health Secretary and for the support you have given me throughout the last year. It has meant a great deal to both me and my family. That's the family that you told lies about, and when you get found out, flung them under a bus. You, my friend, have zero morals. You, my friend, have zero respect from the Scottish public, and anybody that takes to social media in sympathy with you and in support of you is just another example of the cult that is the SNP and its followers. So, I, for one, have read your resignation letter and wholeheartedly accept it on behalf of the Scottish people. Now, this inquiry shall reveal its findings, and my hope is you are flung right out Holyrood, because although it is infested with liars, we should dispose of them at every opportunity, and that is when they get found out. Okay? So, bye-bye, Michael. Good riddance, Michael, and I hope you don't sit in the back benches long, because you don't deserve to be representing the good people of Falkirk, many of whom I know. So, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Join us in the conversation in the comments. But most importantly of all, have a great day. Bye now.